We have to bring that back. And you tend to see it in the church. We have Ernesto who's joining us. He's our new television producer. Wow, he's a movie star. He's been doing a lot of things with the Soup Man. Am I allowed to say the other phrase? Sure. The Soup Nazi from Seinfeld. They pushed a commercial together for the original Soup Man. So exciting stuff is coming to the financial quarterback. But you know what I'm talking about, Ernesto? There's this, Joe Smith dies, leaves his wife and kids alone and penniless, and now you have to take up a collection plate at the offering. And trust me, it's Christmas. If you know a widow or widower, bless a child, bless the family. I'm not being, Scrooge. What I'm saying is the broader cultural awareness that if you know somebody poor, help them buy life insurance. Now, term insurance is for when you're young and struggling. Permanent insurance is generally as you age and you want to convert that term to permanent. There are benefits to that. But I am so sick of reading the talking heads bad-mouthing insurance and yet another GoFundMe page. A GoFundMe page that collects $10,000 will barely pay for a burial. It will not pay for your daughter-in-law's mortgage, rent, utilities, electricity, food bills, Christmas every year when you're gone because you went to be with the Lord. So here's the point. GoFundMe pages, it's great. Give to a GoFundMe page. But I don't give to a GoFundMe. I give directly to the recipient. Because how do you know, Ernesto, right? I'm some random person sets up a GoFundMe page and then they abscond with the money. How do you know that? I mean, there's been reports of that. In Florence, New Jersey, there was some scandal. So if you're going to give a gift of charity to someone, gift it to them individually so you can see the direct recipient at work. So I want to be clear here. If you know somebody disadvantaged, to give. I'm not discouraging the charitable spirit of love. But I don't know, how many GoFundMe posts have you seen this year, Ernesto? At least daily where, this guy leaves whatever, this woman leaves her daughter. You know what? If you love your family, buy life insurance. Now, some people are uninsurable. That was why, in the old, 50s, when you were 18, you bought life insurance because you may have kids. Now, what if you don't have any money? Well, you buy term insurance that is convertible to whole life. So I want to throw that question out to our audience listening on YouTube or Facebook Live. What do you think? Now, here's the thing. If you know somebody that you love, I'm talking a child, a grandchild, a niece or nephew, and they're struggling financially, and they can't even buy term insurance, that's a great gift idea. Give them enough money so that they could gift the gift of insurance to their loved ones. Now, there's the old, term versus permanent debate, and we'll talk about that. But in regards to what the general public hears when they hear about these, insurance is a bad idea, is they hear don't do it. And generally, there is an industry debate of is term or permanent the best. But I think anybody in the industry, even Dave Ramsey, who I have personally challenged to come on my show, I've challenged him on the willow tree. I was like the bully in third grade who said, hey, meet me by the willow tree. He never came. So he's like the bully. No, I'm like the kid getting picked on by the bully. He's much more of a best-selling author than I am, although our book is rising, Retirement Reality Check. But I'm going to talk about why he is generally misguarded. We've challenged him to a debate on the radio. We've been on similar stations, and he's refused to come on. Cal, my radio producer, you got to get Dave Ramsey on. We got to have a debate. But we've reached out and no comment. And by the way, we were respectful and we had his guy on, his number 2. You know what I'm talking about? It's got him Hogan, not Hulk Hogan. Although I think the guy was a football player. He was a nice guy. We were respectful. I disagreed. But Ramsey and other purveyors of financial misinformation, I saw it on my LinkedIn today. These people, covers of Barron's, and they're saying, don't do insurance. I'm not saying neglect investing for insurance. That's also, there's like a the either or fallacy. It's not either investing or insurance. It's both and there's a prioritization that we are lacking. So give us a call now, 800-321-0710. This is me live for 2 hours just talking with Ernesto in the back. So it's great to have him on. Before, this was our second live show on YouTube. So folks, go over to the YouTube, search for Josh Jalinski YouTube channel and subscribe. If you search Josh Jalinski YouTube, we've had a minor success, I would say, for the first week. Some subscribers. So give us a call, 800-321-0710. We'll be back after these messages. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial.
It's always on your mind.
This book is so valuable because so many of you are struggling with your finances. Maybe you're not saving enough. Maybe you are saving enough, but you're putting everything in a 401k, which most people don't realize is a tax-deferred vehicle. That means that politicians control when and how much you're taxed on your number one biggest asset besides your home, which for many of you is your 401k, your IRA, your 403b, what I call the alphabet soup of investing. If there is a number behind it, it may not be a good idea. It may be a good place to grow your money, but how are you going to live off of it? Too much of the Wall Street industrial complex is devoted to having you save, but not actually teaching you how to enjoy your money. So too many people get frustrated. They don't have an income plan. They don't have a tax plan. They don't have a holistic plan. What happens if you die? What happens if you lose your job? What happens if you get disabled? So that's why I wrote the book, Retirement Reality Check. It is precisely your retirement reality check. Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. So I'm going to challenge Dave Ramsey again to a debate. And Ramsey, we're going to debate you once again. So come on out, Dave Ramsey. I'm challenging you to a debate. And once again, I'm hearing myself speak. So give us a call, 800-321-0710. 321 0710 800 321 0710. Happy birthday to the Secure Act. 1 year ago from yesterday, President Trump signed into law. Was it arguably the death of one of the greatest middle class tax benefits in the tax code, and nobody talked about it. It was the death of the Secure Act. I'm hoping President-elect Biden would reinstitute the stretch IRA, but I doubt that's going to happen. The stretch IRA was a way for you to leave your IRA to your kids or grandkids, and they would get distributions every year, literally for 80 years. Now they have to spend all that money, pay the government coffers more money over a 10-year spend down. So the Secure Act is no more. So we're going to talk about happy birthday to the Secure Act. It's 1 year old today. I had a 1-year-old birthday party for my Billy. Baby Billy, you know, is my 6th born living child. And he's amazing. And, you know, 6, how could you have any more? I want to have more. I love having babies. So it's like the ever-expanding universe. You know how they say the universe is always expanding? When you have another child, your love for, you don't think you could love, 4 any more than you do. You love your 3 that are in front of you, and then you love them just the same. And your heart just expands. It's like the ever-expanding universe. So we have a great, expansive universe of love in my household. So we just had Billy's 1-year birthday. Well, now he's about 1.5, so we had it in the summer. And so we have another 1-year birthday. That's the Secure Act. I'm going to remind you about the Secure Act because with COVID, a lot of you forgot that the Secure Act was a vital piece of legislation that affects your money, regardless of your age. So we're going to go to the phone lines at 800 321 0710, 800 321 0710. If you have questions on stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds, 1 year ago from yesterday, President Trump signed into law the Secure Act. At that time, virtually no one had heard of the coronavirus, and certainly very few, if any, could have foreseen the global pandemic that's still very much with us. The onset of the pandemic led Congress to pass the CARES Act. So many of you have been worried about the CARES Act, PPP. By the way, there is PPP round 3 or round 2 coming up. I went to my hairdresser earlier this week, and was shocked to find that he did not get PPP. Hairdressers, why are you not listening to our program? Even my own hairdresser of I've been going to Antonio since I was like 5. So 30, 40 years. And he did not listen to my show. And it turns out he did not get PPP round 1. He did not get PPP round 2. Well, hopefully
you have
he's
Jim.
going to get PPP round 3. I'm going to tell you about PPP round 3. By the way, Antonio's in Forked River, best hair salon. By the way, businesses are struggling more than ever before. Go to your hairdresser. They're struggling. They need you now more than ever. But we're here to help everybody in small business. That's why I went live. People don't realize I didn't get any business out of that. We had people call and they were struggling and we were just helping. It was a ministry. I was on 4 hours live. And I called my own bank, the jerks at PNC. And I'll be honest there. They didn't give us PPP. And then I had to go to a bank in Pennsylvania, Huntington Valley Bank. God bless them. And many large banks, TD, all these banks were not there. Did you get PPP, Ernesto? Ernesto, you didn't get PPP? Well, you should have been listening because you would have got a check from the government. So just like Shake Shack did, the listeners of this show got PPP. If you got PPP, in part due to the resources on this show, I'd love to hear your success story at 800-321-0710. We're going to go to the phone lines. Who do we have? Jim, go ahead. You're on with Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback.
Yeah, good morning, Josh. Real quick, I want to get involved with the recreational marijuana. And the Attorney General of New Jersey said every New Jerseyan would have an opportunity to be involved. But I'm getting a lot of roadblocks. I'm calling people up. I've even called my in Middlesex County. They don't know nothing. Nobody knows nothing about it. I heard they're going to be.
You want to get involved with recreational marijuana?
Yes.
As a smoker? As a business? Sounds like you could be a smoker.
No, long time ago, not now. I'm in my 60s now.
You didn't inhale?
No, President Clinton, yes.
You were like President Clinton.
Yes. But what I want to do, but they say they're going to build these greenhouses in Atlantic County.
You want to invest in stocks that own pot, or do you want to invest in the farms that produce? In the farms. Well, you got to buy a farm.
Yes, but these farmers down there who've been starving for years, I heard they're going to go into the marijuana business.
Probably. Probably.
Yeah, well, this is it. And eventually, in the next few years, New Jersey will legalize prostitution. And that's the only way this state is going to survive.
Well, I think it's absurd when you start, legalizing all of these former taboos just for tax revenue. You go to Atlantic City, they legalize gambling. How did it work for Atlantic City?
Well,
nobody wants to go there. So do you want New Jersey to be a cesspool of potheads, gamblers, and prostitutes? I don't know. That's not how I want to grow the New Jersey economy. But that's not really. You're probably right though, in that if they don't have tax revenue through any other means, they result to these vices. Now, here's the thing: people with marijuana. I don't want to get into it. Really, but people say, oh, New Jersey is going to legalize marijuana. It's going to help the poor farmers down in Vineland and, wherever in Cumberland County. No, it's not. You know what's going to happen? Philip Morris or Altria is going to buy everybody up. It's going to be like a big business all over again. Because if Philip Morris comes in and they say, here, Joe, I'm going to give you $1 million for your farmland. You can retire. By the way, producing marijuana as a small-time farmer, very difficult, very capitally intensive business. I have a client who does that, and it is not, it's not like it's easy. It's not like he's living the dream. He's working hard and, not making millions, by the way. But I think ultimately, he was ahead of the curve. So I think his business has opportunity to be bought out by an Altria. But what's going to happen is big business is going to come in and they're going to say, we're going to buy you out at $2 million. So here's what happens if you're a pot farmer in New Jersey. You're lucky if you gross about $200,000 a year. You're a successful pot enterprise. Now, I don't know if you ever ran a business, but $200,000 is like a couple months away from bankruptcy because you got health insurance. You got to pay the state 10% of your gross receipts. You got to pay the federal government 30% of everything you make. You got to pay this insurance. You got to pay workers' comp. You got to pay, and then they got to buy internal things. I think it's just a stupid way to raise revenue. You know what? You know what will bring people back to New Jersey? Lowering the state income tax to 5%. A lot of people don't want to leave New Jersey. We're not asking for no income tax. We are asking for what I would call tax parity. Surprisingly, everybody makes the property tax the big, like, oh, property taxes are horrible in New Jersey. They are, but they're really not that far off from like Florida. Now, in Florida, you don't have state income tax, and you don't have the Abbott decision in Mount Laurel. And I don't care what political party you are. Whoever runs for governor in New Jersey this year, there's a litmus test. You know how presidents run for president and they say, I will have no litmus test on abortion, or I will have a litmus test on abortion. My litmus test, I don't care about anything else in New Jersey other than two things. Will you overturn the Abbott decision, and will you overturn Mount Laurel? And if you don't overturn them, you will have a constitutional amendment. Because if you're a Democrat or a Republican, that is the only way to stay in this state, because that forces every school district to pay for 13 mismanaged school districts. That's the Abbott decision in Mount Laurel forces every district to allocate affordable housing in every town. I'm all for affordable housing. You know how you make New Jersey more affordable? You lower the property taxes. You lower the income taxes. You know what I found out too? There are people milking COA. You know, there are people that get divorced, and then the wife lives in the COA house, and then the old husband is now the boyfriend, or there's a new boyfriend, and now they get, $1,000 a month luxury rental. And some of these places aren't bad. So, and by the way, when COA subsidizes the wealthy Section 8 land, and then the Section 8, which subsidizes the wealthy, it doesn't subsidize the poor. The Section 8 landlords are generally wealthy. So people need to wake up. Pot and prostitution are not going to renovate the New Jersey economy. I don't know. What do you think, Ernesto? 800-32, he's not, no comment. So 800-321-0710. If you're talking, this is interesting. So the marijuana legislation was sold to us as in New Jersey as a boon for small town farmers. What's going to happen, it's like when you start a business, it's very capitally intensive, and they're going to struggle. Many of these farmers are going to go bankrupt. And who's going to get their farms for pennies on the dollar? Well, if you listen to this show, maybe you can watch. So I want you to watch those pot farmers, because in a few years, they're going to want out of the business. And maybe you can get their land for pennies on the dollar, but most likely it will be Philip Morris or an Altria or some mega conglomerate coming in and buying them. So give us a call, 800-321-0710. Any thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on the marijuana farms? We're talking about a lot today. We're talking about marijuana farms, Ramsey. I've challenged him over and over again. Dave Ramsey, best-selling author, purveyor of financial misinformation. I respect him for his message of getting many people out of debt. I don't want to minimize that. He's great on getting people to not buy stupid stuff and to get out of debt. He has changed many lives with that message. So, Mr. Ramsey, it is with the utmost respect that I challenge you to an honest dialogue around the misinformation, particularly around investing and insurance. On getting out of debt, you're a hero. I give you, And by the way, I met Dave Ramsey one time at the WR Studios. He was a delightful human. He shook my hand. He was glowing. We did a birthday cake for him at WOR on this was, 2012 when he started in the WR. He was very nice. I mean, he wasn't. Sometimes I've met these celebrities, and they don't really have any mind. Mind you, the president. I did meet the president, and he signed a book for me, Donald J. Trump, and he signed it to the financial quarterback, which was kind of cool. But he never smiled. I didn't really, no, that's his persona, and to be honest, I was like, lighten up, dude, but I do respect Donald J. Trump signed my book. This was before he was president, when he was like celebrity apprentice fame. So maybe that was his shtick, but it was like, I wanted him to sign my book. That was the year. I'll tell you folks about the year that I signed up for the Apprentice tryouts, and I lost. I'll tell you about that next. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial.
Are you worried?
Hi, I'm Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback here, inviting you to get my new book, The Retirement Reality Check, on Amazon or wherever books are sold. Tip number 2, tax tip number 2, consider a qualified longevity annuity contract. You may say, what is that? It's better known by some as the QLAC. It allows you to put away $125,000 up to $125,000 of your IRA, and guess what? You don't have to pay taxes on it till you're 85, and it protects you from doing what everybody's worried about, outliving their money. In fact, with a QLAC, it is a longevity contract that you make with an insurance company, and guess what? They're going to pay you income for as long as you live. From 85, you could live till you're 116. They'll still pay you a check, and you don't have to pay taxes on it from 70 to 85. That's called the QLAC. Is this my Dan who calls every couple weeks?
Well, not every couple of weeks, but here and there.
Not every
Thank
couple
you.
weeks, Dan. You'd be on the Listener Hall of Fame. Hello,
I
Dan.
do.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah.
Likewise to you, family, and all the people in your station. So, I'm not saying anything new that nobody knows. Okay, regarding by the way, I feel your pain, Mr. Jalinski, about the Secure Act. And since you touched the pot, I'll talk about it too, if you don't mind. To me, it all comes to the people who represent us on a federal level, on a state level. The Pelosi's, the Schumers, the AOC, and then on the other side too, the only time they do something when they benefit or it hurts them. So if you want, believe me, I'm 100% behind you, with you about the Secure Act. I think you hit it on the head. The only way to make something that will be good for everybody here, if those people that I just mentioned and many more, it would hurt them or would benefit them. Otherwise, they don't do anything, okay? If you're a big lobbyist, you give them a lot of money, you do something that benefits them, they're going to change the world, so you'll be happy. Otherwise,
but Dan, here's the solution, and I have friends in politics. The solution is a couple. Where does the word politics come from in the Latin? What does it mean in the Latin? Do you know, Ernesto? Do you know, Dan?
No.
Many, the word for poly, and then ticks, blood-sucking animals. But the big problem is that good people don't run. AOC was a bartender who ran. So we give her a hard time. God bless her. She's trying to, I don't agree with her politically, but rather than complaining, we have to run. What most people who are good, hardworking people, they wonder, well, why does this person win? Well, it's because they run. People who are sensible don't run. So when you see a candidate that advocates the values and beliefs that you have, give money to them. Because even if they lose, I don't know if you know this, Howard Dean, you might say, well, why is our country going astray? And you want to complain about it. I would posit Howard Dean is more responsible for the socialization of America, and America could be turning socialist more than he had a thing called the 50 state strategy. And what that was that for years, the Democratic Party was only focusing on the blue states and the purple states. And that the only way for the Democratic Party to win was to focus on all 50 states, because what would happen is you would distract the conservative money. So the money that was for Republicans would fund Republican candidates to preserve their seat. For example, if Republicans didn't have to spend money on Lindsey Graham's Senate seat, they could have focused on winning more purpley states. So Howard Dean is the architect. So one way to win is to run, even in districts like Kim Classic. She lost by 40%, but she forced Kwesi Mfume to get $1 million from the Democratic Congressional Committee in normally what was a safe district. So the key, if you want to change society for the better, is to run. Because Republicans and Democrats for both years, for many years, have not really helped the people. Like if you take New Jersey, for example, I know New Jersey politics. You could change, I could change New Jersey in three easy laws: a 5% flat income tax, the repeal of Mount Laurel, the repeal of Abbott. That has nothing to do with Democrat or Republican. And you would transform the state, and you would make no one want to leave New Jersey. The people who are leaving New Jersey to Florida are leaving because of the tax burden. And not even so much property taxes, I say income tax. Because you have a successful business owner, they're making $1 million a year. They're paying $120,000 a year to the state, not to the employees, mind you. You know, if there was a bill that says, okay, instead of paying money to the state, you got to hire people. Man, every small business owner would want to do that. If you got a tax credit. So those are all what I would call broad tent solutions that any political persuasion. So we're just not even having smart business people run, largely because they don't get paid enough. You know, you couldn't pay me enough to be a congressman, you know, and it's just not what I want to do, you know, to take a pay cut, to be demonized by half the population. But the point is, it's, you got to run, Dan. So Dan, if you run for Congress, call us, and you know, maybe we'll run a fundraiser for you. So, but too many people are complaining. Here's the other thing. Everybody's going around, woe is me. The world is changing. Here's the thing. Socialism only works in American universities. And for so long, it doesn't work in real life. The principles of socialism will ravage society. So if we keep speaking truth to your kids, to your grandkids, to your nieces and nephews, you know, socialists have boot camps on what to say to your crazy uncle who's a Trump supporter or a Republican. They're actually training people because they don't want your kids to be influenced by truth. But truth always wins. Light is always greater than darkness. You need just a little bit of light to flood the room. So rather than being depressed that the world isn't going your way, do what they did. What did the socialists do in the 1920s? Think about this. This has been a 100-year plan to take over America. What have they done? They retreated and they went and they, you know, like Socrates, they infected the minds of the youth. They went to colleges and they desensitized people to what family meant, to what faith meant. Why? Because the government can't be strong when families are strong, when the church is strong. So one of the next things they're going to do is go after the tax-exempt status of churches. Just watch. And you might say, well, this isn't my America. I'm sad. I'm going to be depressed. It's exactly what they want you to do. You should fight every day for truth, justice, and the American way, just like we do. Support businesses. If you don't like liberal businesses, support ours. We are believers in principles. Too many of you will mope, and then you bank at places where they give to liberal causes. You give your financial advisors a quasi-socialist, and you wonder why your portfolio is not working out. Because in reality, principles of liberty work. Principles of freedom work. I don't care what political persuasion you are. Everybody, all those, California liberals, where are they moving? To zero income tax Texas. They're moving to Florida. They'll probably screw up Texas. So you know what that means? New Jersey, everybody's moving to Florida. You know what that means? There's less people to influence things in New Jersey. That means there's more of you. I don't know if you noticed, but in the New York congressional races, a bunch of New York races went for people who are more liberty-minded. Why? Because people, the liberals aren't dumb. They're moving to Florida. They're paying no state income tax. So let's not complain. Let's work and make the country better. So give us a call, 800-321-0710, 800-321-0710. If you have a question or comment, we'll be back after these messages.
Josh Jalinski.
Hi, everybody. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback here, inviting you to pick up my new book, The Retirement Reality Check, on Amazon or wherever books are sold. I go over an 11-step guide to mitigate higher taxes with my new approach found in the book, The Retirement Reality Check. Consider purchasing a second home, an investment property, or commercial property with a benefit called cost segregation. Let's say you want to buy a commercial property for $500,000. Guess what? You can deduct up to 30% of the purchase price of the commercial building and use that write-off to take money out of your IRA and have that tax write-off help you convert the IRA to Roth with as little tax as possible. It's a fantastic benefit, linking cost segregation with Roth conversions. So right now, go out, buy my book, The Retirement Reality Check, and you'll learn more about our 11-step approach to mitigate taxes. Oh, good Bob Dylan song. Go ahead, Lynn. You're on with Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much. So I'm calling about long-term care.
Sure.
I took it out when I was 64 because I was advised that once you hit 65, the rates go way up.
Did you listen to the
Anyway,
show, Lynn? Probably
No.
not, because I tell people, instead of getting long-term care, buy life insurance with a long-term care rider, because if you buy a permanent policy, in contrast to a term, if you buy a dividend-paying whole life, your premiums are guaranteed. The insurance company cannot raise the rate on you. So if you listen to the show every week, you would have heard that. But go ahead with your long-term care question.
it stayed the same rate for a long
And
time.
now they're
and all
jacking
of a
you
sudden,
up, right? Now,
oh my God!
Exactly.
So I have an option. I can reduce the benefit period from 4 years to 3 years, and it would be somewhat less. It's going from 23.30 to 29.47. That's a big jump.
Yeah,
but
well,
I can
if you listen to Dave Ramsey or these
Yeah.
other purveyors, they would say buy term insurance, invest the difference, and when you're older, you can self-insure. But you really can't self-insure from a long-term care illness, can you? Because I know people that are going into a facility, it's costing them $100, $200 grand a year. They have $2 million and they have Alzheimer's or Parkinson's. And they could be wiped out in a matter of 10 years. They have dementia. So what do? Well, number one, you listen to the show. Number two, you buy life insurance with a long-term care rider. Now, it depends. You might be too old for that. It may be uninsurable. And this is the problem I have with the misinformation surrounding insurance, because people don't even understand. People who sell insurance don't even understand insurance. Most of them are idiots. So, sorry, no, maybe that's not nice. There are many good professionals who listen to this show. Financial advisors, accountants, and life insurance. You know who you are. You're great. You listen to the show, and I salute you. And there are other people who maybe don't listen to my show. I salute them. But who are you listening to? Think about this. The insurance industry actually wants you to buy term insurance. Why? Very few people die with term insurance. 99% of all people who have insurance do not die. Penn State did a study, and they found that between 93 and 99% of all people with second to die in term insurance let the policy lapse before they die. And I would say that number is probably more like 99%. Scientifically, I don't have anything to back that up, except there was a Penn State study that said 93%. And this was of all permanent policies that rich people buy to avoid estate tax, called second to die. So that was actually a type of permanent life insurance. It's actually a type I don't like. I don't like second to die for a number of reasons. I like first to die, which means if there is a couple, here's why. My wife has a first to die policy and I have a first to die. For very same reason, selfishness or self-interest. If I'm paying all this money to her policy and she dies, I want to get money. If she's paying all this money for my policy, I want her to get some money when I die. But then I get people, I don't want my spouse to get rich. Somebody says that, divorce them tomorrow now. And I don't even believe in divorce. So the point is, but neither did half the people who got divorced, so when they got married. So the point is, I actually think that's a great test for a future son-in-law or daughter-in-law. So I'm going to take whoever wants to marry my daughters, I'm going to say, I'm going to never reveal my views on insurance to them. I probably will, though. One, it'll be a test. Did they really listen to the show? Did they subscribe to the YouTube channel? Folks, by the way, we need everybody to subscribe to the YouTube channel today. So go to subscribe. How do you find my YouTube channel? You just Google Josh Jalinski YouTube. Or you go to youtube.com and you search for Josh Jalinski. You hit the subscribe button. If you have any desire at all, do that. So long-term care, this is a big one, ma'am, and I so thank you for calling on this subject. So you're saying, well, what do? They're jacking your rates up. Well, first off, you follow the right advice to begin with. But you didn't. And how old are you now? Maybe too late for you.
It up now.
How old are you now?
Tempted to.
How old are you
82,
now?
82.
Oh, yeah. Well, now it's probably too late. So, see, this is the sad thing, because when people wake up and they're 82, you can't go back into time. Bad decisions financially sort of come with you. So my personal advice would probably be to keep the long-term care insurance. But call us at 888-988-JOSH, and maybe we can find another way through trusts. Maybe you buy life insurance. So, for example, if you're 85 or under, you can get life insurance. A lot of people don't realize that. And you can get life insurance with a long-term care rider. Sometimes you can get annuities that will pay double the money for up to 5 years on a long-term care basis. It's going to be more tricky for you. It's much easier if you were under the age of 80. But even at 82, call us. So don't put your head in the sand and say, I made one bad decision. I'm just going to live my life out. My mom and dad did that. They had a string of bad mishaps. And then, they just didn't. They thought financial knowledge eluded them. No, if you're 50, if you're 60, now is the time to remake your financial self. So the best time to start, we always make mistakes. I make mistakes every day of my life. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have, you have to renovate yourself every day, spiritually, morally, economically. Any other, you know what? We got to take a short break. We'll be back. If you can stay on the line, ma'am, 800-321-07. And folks, we have a special Christmas and holiday gift for you. If you call us within the next 3 minutes, I'm going to give you my 27-point ultimate financial game plan at 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH. You get a 27-point ultimate financial game plan for free when you call us, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-5674. We'll be back after these messages. Hi, everybody. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback here, inviting you to get my new book called The Retirement Reality Check on Amazon or wherever books are sold. I go over 11-step approach. An 11-step approach to mitigate higher taxes is something called the QCD. What does QCD stand for? It stands for Qualified Charitable Distribution. That's where you can take money out of your IRA and divert your required minimum distribution from your IRA and send it to your favorite church, shul, charity, and not pay taxes on your IRA money. So think about this. You get a tax-deferred benefit going in on the IRA, and this is tax-free on the way out if you have a charity that is near and dear to your heart. So consider the QCD and pick up my new book, The Retirement Reality Check, today on Amazon. That's Retirement Reality Check. I'm Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. From Dave on the pot situation. Get this. This is the brilliance that only comes from the financial quarterback listenership. Dave says legal pot sales, get this, will attempt to compete with the established underground suppliers in New Jersey, many of whom are from low working class people at almost double the price. Have you thought about that, Ernesto? That's huge. That's amazing. Dave, you should go run for office. Who do we have next, Bob G?
We'll have Lynn.
Lynn, so you had some bad information on long-term care. You bought long-term care. Your premium is jacked. You're 82. So you're more likely to use it within the next so many years. That's why they're jacking your rate. And they're jacking your rate because the benefit is something you might use. So I would not cancel it until you get an audit of your entire financial picture, because maybe you want to ditch the long-term care, pop everything into trusts. Now, I'm not an attorney and I'm not giving legal advice. Or maybe you want to buy an annuity with a long-term care doubler, which means that they will pay up to 5 years of payments. But what's nice about the annuity or life insurance way to protect you from long-term care is that in an annuity or long-term care, they can't jack up your premium. They are fixed premiums. With long-term care, the premium could get jacked. So that's why do you think the insurance company pushes these things? So go ahead, Lynn. Any comments or questions on that?
Well, at this point, I'm due to pay the premium now. I don't think I'm going to drop it. I've had it already 18 years. But now, in order to keep from paying this huge amount of increase, I can reduce it by either reducing the benefit period.
Why would you reduce it? See, you didn't even listen to me. See, this is the perfect problem. I told you what to do. You do not reduce it. Why? The insurance company wants you to reduce it. Does that make sense? Insurance companies, when they want you to do something, it means an actuary, a PhD in what's called actuarial science, did the analysis and said the insurance company is losing money. I don't know if you know insurance companies. They never like to lose money. They are experts at cost control. So my advice would be to call us because it seems like you're headed down the path of misinformation once again. Does that make sense to you, ma'am?
Yeah, I guess. Don't reduce anything.
Don't
not the
reduce
benefit
anything
period,
because unless
and
you're
not
broke,
the daily benefit.
unless you're eating cat food, do not reduce it. Call us we'll find a way for you to either pay for that policy. Here's the thing. The insurance company made a bad calculation. They are raising the rate because they want you to either, one, cut your benefit, or two, cancel your policy. See, this is the thing with the government. When the government has so much debt, what can they do? They can either raise your premium, that's taxes, or cut your benefit. That's means testing, that's Medicare premium. The laws of economics cannot be repealed. Does that make sense? It's the same with insurance companies, the same with the government. So you want to have a financial advisor that understands the laws of economics. Call us at 888-988-JOSH. But whatever you do, don't cut your benefit until you talk to us at 888-988-JOSH. And for those of you who are cutting your benefit, who have money, don't you want the insurance company on the hook when you go into a long-term care facility? Some of you say, well, I don't want to go into a nursing home, so I'm going to cancel my long-term care insurance. Well, I got news for you. Do a poll. I want you to go to a nursing home right now, if you're allowed to. Wear a mask and do a poll. Ask all of those people, were you planning on being here? And they would all tell you no. And some would even not know where they are and would say, I'm not in a nursing home. And that goes to show you misinformation financially abounds. Call us right now, 888-988-JOSH. We are live for a whole nother hour, taking your calls on all matters financial.
15 seconds.
800-331-0710. Call me right now for the 27-point ultimate
10
financial game
seconds.
plan. 888-988-JOSH. 888-988-JOSH.
5 seconds.
Comment in the YouTube
Wrap up,
section.
wrap up.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Search for Josh Jalinski. Subscribe today. 888-988-JOSH. That's JALINSKI. Hi, my name is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback, inviting you to get my new book, The Retirement Reality Check. The first topic we are talking about today is how to mitigate your high taxes with our 11-step approach. Step number 1, pick out the right retirement savings vehicle for you and your family. I'm talking about defined benefit pension programs, 401ks, profit sharing, cash balance plans. Many of you do not realize that you can deduct, if you're 38, you can deduct up to $100,000 a year from your taxes. If you're in your 50s, you can deduct $200,000. If you're in your 60s, even $300,000. It's a powerful benefit of the tax code that very few know about, and it's one of the ways that you can lower your income to get the special 20% write-off known as QBI Section 199A. So step number 1, choose the right retirement savings vehicle for you and your family.
Darren's your next call.
Quarterback with Josh Jalinski.
Aaron.
We need more of you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So tell everyone to go to youtube.com and type in Jalinski. Does it go there, Ernesto? If you type in Jalinski, Jalinski, on YouTube and you hit subscribe. You could do that from your phone. You could do that from anywhere. And we're going to go to the phone lines, 888-988.
Darren.
Now we have two lines. We have two lines. Two lines. They are 888-988-JOSH. That's if you want the free book. We have the small business tax book. We have a book on minimizing taxes. We have a book on estate planning. We have a book by my mentor, 888-988-JOSH. Get you a free book and the 27-point ultimate financial game plan if you call us. That's number one. Number two, you also get a 27-point ultimate financial game plan where we can combat the financial misinformation that is abounding in the news media and even in your own head. You know, you're always fighting. Finances are more like physics than money. You know, in physics, you always have the force of gravity, you know, weighing you down. In finance, you have yourself. We heard this dear woman, she was obviously getting screwed by the insurance company. Her premium's getting jacked, and she's thinking like the insurance company. How can I lower my benefit? So we have Darren. Go ahead, Darren. You're on with Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. And our listener call line is 800-321-0710. Go ahead, Darren.
Hi, Josh. I have a question. A few years back, I was listening to Dave Ramsey, and he was saying, "Oh, you know, I owed like $1,000 or $100,000 on my mortgage." He's like, just, you know, he's telling people, just sell your stock and pay off your mortgage. So I did that, and of course, over the last 3 years, that stock doubled. So I lost all that gain that I would have got. And now I see, like, through a lot of these federal credit unions near my house, I can get like a no cost mortgage. Like, it will just be like a fee. I think it's like $500, and I could then, you know, my house is worth $300,000, and I could take it like $100,000 out and like what I paid up for it and invest it. I can get like an 8-year, or a 10-year, or a 12-year.
Yeah, well, do you have enough money to save, or no, it's all in your house?
Yeah, I mean, I have like close to $2 million saved, you know.
So you have enough. I mean, here's the thing. Yeah. I never advocate using money that would have paid off a house or extracting money out of your house to invest in the stock market. But I don't advocate selling stocks or taking cash that you need for liquid emergencies to pay off your mortgage. You got to think like a bank, right? How does a bank make money? Not by doing what Ramsey says. A bank makes money by, we could create a bank, Ernesto, 10 million, we gather $10 million. In fact, I would do this today if you want. Take $10 million and you apply for a federal bank charter, okay? You get a group of investors together, you get $10 million, you apply for a loan essentially from the Fed. And 10 million then acts like 100 million. You have the power to loan out 100 million at, let's say, 3% interest. Your loan from the Fed is, say, 1%. And you're making 2% on essentially other people's money. It's a brilliant system. Alexander Hamilton decried that, by the way. All these people praising Alexander Hamilton because they don't even understand history. Alexander Hamilton wanted one bank to rule the country, you know. It's why we have the Fed now. And that's why all these people praise Alexander Hamilton, because they love that. But you got to think like a bank. 10 million can act like 100 million. So your 2 million can maybe act like 2.5 million with what's called safe positive leverage. No, you don't want to try this at home, and you don't want to try this without financial help. But what did you do when you sold off those shares of stock to pay off your mortgage? You had a long-term cost that you will never repay. You missed 3 or 4 years of the best market run-up in history. So you probably would have doubled your money, tripled your money. You could have paid off your house and then some, had you would have employed principles that I talk about on a regular basis. Some people don't like financial stress. So a paid off house is peace of mind. And that's fine, but you'll never have peace of mind, truly. That's a spiritual thing, I think. Because the more you make, then the more problems you can have. You could get sued. You could have a fire, burn down, all of your treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves can break in and steal. So there's a lot of issues with the whole concept of, just paying off your house. It implies that your mortgage is your only bill. It really isn't. Then you have home insurance. Then you have property tax. Then you have no leverage to deploy if maybe you want to start a business. So I would say you call us for the 27-point ultimate financial game plan at 888-988 Josh. And yeah, you want to look. We are at some of the lowest interest rates in history. Take advantage of those low interest rates. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not saying take money out of your home equity to invest it in the stock market. I'm not an advocate of that. But rather than paying off your home equity with growth assets, so long-term over a 10-year period, the market should, now we don't know because we're entering a time of increased socialist activity. Now think about from 2000 to 2010, the stock market did virtually nothing. Yes, it was a lost decade for equities. Now why? Now I would argue Fed manipulation started there more than ever, keeping rates artificially low, stimuluses, all of the funny money entering the system. 2010 to 2020 did really well. And frankly, it really wasn't due to Obama or Trump. It was due to the Fed keeping rates artificially low that caused the stock market to be propped up. People talk about income inequality. Income inequality is due to rates being artificially low, so the only people with money who can afford to borrow are rich people. Then they buy more assets that produce income. They don't pay off their homes. They buy more of something. What did McDonald's do? They invested in Chipotle. So we're going to get, we're going to get the Americans who like fast food. We're going to get the Americans who like fast food who have more exotic tastes. And I would never step foot in a McDonald's, but for some reason, I'm okay with going to Chipotle. I don't know why. It's like, it's the same crap. It's fast food, but it seems healthier coming from Chipotle. Fresher ingredients. I do have a guy who did work for McDonald's, who's a buddy of mine. He owned a bunch of McDonald's. And they did take such care for their food. It was amazing, the quality and control. But I don't really go there. Do you go to McDonald's, Ernesto? I will tell you, their bacon is always crispy. When I got into it, I had like a little thing where I like the bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit. That was a great biscuit, but I don't go there anymore. That was addicting, and I was getting fat, so I stopped. And their McCafe line, really good coffee that's cheap. So, but I just, I'm not near a McDonald's. It was one time I had to work, but I don't go there. And I don't really go to Chipotle much, but I feel more of the pull to go to a Chipotle because it's fresher, in my mind. I don't know if that's true, but what did McDonald's do? Do you know McDonald's was an investor in Chipotle? So that's what wealthy people do. They look for other ways to invest to get the same consumer multiple ways. They don't pay off all their debt. They take new debt Apple doesn't need debt, but for some reason they issue corporate bonds. They have, billions and billions of dollars in cash. So you got to think like a bank or think like a top, Fortune 500 company. Don't think like the guy, in the van down by the river. Okay? Does that make sense, my good buddy? Who is our listener still there, or did he go to sleep? Hello?
He is.
Oh, go ahead, sir.
I guess I didn't really get your thought if you thought it was a good. I mean, I think I'm going to do it.
I think it's a good idea, but I'm not going to tell you to take money out of your house.
Right. Just
to
because I
invest
have
in
so
the
much
stock market. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
I have so much other
maybe-
money outside it. Like it won't be a big
Maybe you
deal
take
if I
greater
lose that
risk.
money.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I don't pay off my mortgages. That's just me.
Yeah.
I
wish
invest
I
the
didn't.
difference, and I get greater tax benefits, and I look for other things to invest in because that's what the tax code incentivizes.
Yeah, I'm just trying to reverse the mistake that I think I made.
Well, I think the mistake you made is by getting now to think like a bank. Think like a business owner. And by business owner, I mean like Apple, not like, a small business owner. How can you, we're all tempted to hoard, right? Like, hoard toilet paper or hoard knowledge maybe in your business. So rather than, having a mindset of scarcity, have a mindset of abundance. Now, it may sound nebulous to you, like I'm not answering your question. I just don't know you. So I don't want to tell you, take money out of your house to buy stocks. I'm sort of against that. Does that make sense? It's just if you called me 3 years ago, I would have said, don't pay off your mortgage. That's a different piece of advice. Does that make sense? Because now if you take money out of your mortgage, based on what I tell you, you're going to blame me. So I am not telling you anything. I'm not giving financial advice. But my point to you is, it's like teach a man how to fish and you teach him how to feed. The problem to me is that rather than meet with the financial advisor and really come up with a plan, you listen to some guy on the radio who didn't know you, who said, pay off your house. He didn't understand that you have $2 million saved. So you're no dummy. You're a financially successful person. He was thinking, now here's the thing, I know my mother. I love my mother. My mother and father were the two greatest people on earth. But my mother and father were not good with money. It was just not their gift. If my mother and father said, I have $100,000, do I pay off my mortgage or do I invest it? I would have probably told them to pay off their mortgage because they made bad financial decisions perennially. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's where Dave Ramsey's very well with the people who are on like a financial train wreck. But people like listen to your show are a little more savvy.
A little more uppercut. But I would say, if I'm in the train wreck, I'm from no money. I'm from negative $60,000 in credit card debt. If I don't have money, I want to learn from the people who do. I don't want to learn, but exactly, I think some of his advice is great for people who are just struggling and they're not good with money. Not from people a little more astute. But here's my point. If you're struggling and you have no money, learn from the astute people. Don't learn from the people with lack of astuteness, So give us a call, 888-988-JOSH. If you want to stay on the line, talk more about this, let's talk 888-988-JOSH, and you get a free review, 27-point ultimate financial game plan. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial.
Are you worried?
Hi, I'm Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback here, inviting you to pick up my new book called The Retirement Reality Check on Amazon or wherever books are sold. In the book, Retirement Reality Check, I give you 11 steps to potentially lower your taxes. And tip number 8 is get a part-time job at a charity. So let's say you're retired and you don't need any extra income. Maybe you need a little extra income, and there's a charity that's near and dear to your heart. It could be a drug and alcohol rehab. It could be a food pantry. It could be a food kitchen. It could be a shelter, whatever is near and dear to your heart, you can get that job. And you can do, if it's a nonprofit, something called a 403B or defined benefit pension program. And guess what? You can actually get paid from that charity and have your entire check deferred. That's right. You don't have to pay taxes on that income. And you can then take money out when you need. You pay income tax when you need it. But the beauty is you don't pay any tax. You help out a charity. It's a great tax tip, and it's found in my new book, The Retirement Reality Check. I'm Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Eight 800-321-0710. And folks, call us for the 2-for-1 New Year, New You review. I didn't even mention this. Ernesto, slap me upside the head. The 2021 new ebook. This is a new ebook that I put together with our great team. Folks, we have a great team. They're dedicated here today. Bob G, he lays down the beautiful music that you're accustomed to every week. Then we have Ira, who was predestined to call screen for a show on IRAs. Then we have Cal has been with me over 10 years. Cal is, by the way, a man of many talents. Have you heard of Gary V? He does a bunch of stuff for Gary V. He's done stuff for The Blaze, and he's been faithful to me. So thank you, Cal. Thank you to David and Rich, who do a great job leading the call center every weekend at 888-988-JOSH. Thank you to Jim, who's dedicated and very loyal to the business. And then all of our employees who are not working today. But all those people are working today, day after Christmas. I really did not want to wake up. Did you want to wake up today? You did. He was excited. I'm doing the show, and I was not excited until about 9:03. That's when I get excited because of the cosmic energy of our listeners. I'm not a morning person, so I'm a late person. I'll work late. I'll work till like 2 a.m. if I have to for our clients. But I like to sleep till at least 8 or 9. You know, market opens at 9:30, so I got to be up by the market. That's why I love, in one sense, you got to look at the bright side of the thing. I love this whole COVID thing. I hate the death of COVID, the death toll of COVID. I hate those of you who've lost loved ones but I love the fact that it has reconnected me to a work week that orients me around my family a little more. And I don't think that'll ever change for a lot of people. Now with Zoom, although Zoom, there's some negative news on it this week, people should be looking at Microsoft Teams, I think, as an option over Zoom. But Zoom has changed the way many people work and interact with their loved ones. So who do we have? We have Keith. Go ahead. Keith, you're on with Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Go.
Need help with? First, what is the best insurance one can get? I'm in my 60s, and I want to be able to have insurance, but I also want to be able to get some money back if I stop using the insurance after 10, 15, or 20 years.
Okay, I love the question. So, Keith, the question again, repeat the first part of your question.
Insurance that will give me some money coming back to me in my pocket when I close it up.
Okay. Number one, you should never close up an insurance policy. That is often in the best interest of the insurance policy. Every once in a while, we'll get people who buy good whole life, not bad whole life. There is bad whole life out there, folks. Alex Trebek, God bless him. God rest his soul. Alex Trebek, I love Alex Trebek. We were born on the same day. And love Jeopardy. Jeopardy was, Wheel of Fortune was for the regular folk. Jeopardy was for a cut above. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Wheel of Fortune was for the masses. Jeopardy was for the listener of the financial quarterback. You know, anybody can be dazzled by Pat Sajak and Vanna White flipping the letters. But Jeopardy, you know, my dad could watch that every day. People say, how do you know all this stuff? I watched Jeopardy every day since I was a child, for years with my father. And I don't know, it was either, was it 7 p.m. or 7:30 p.m. every day, Jeopardy was on our house from its inception. And my dad was like a Ken Jennings wannabe. My dad was Ken Jennings before there was Ken Jennings. My dad knew more useless information than anybody on earth. And he could beat you. And he was a very tragic figure, my dad. Because if you knew my dad, you knew he was probably one of the smartest guys in the world. He could do anything, but he didn't. You know, it was like a little bit of like lost potential. And maybe you're feeling like you've had lost potential in your life. And I'm going to get to your question, but it really made me think of something with my dad. So I will tell my dad's story next. And if you feel that you've lost potential in life, I want you to recharge your batteries because I have a word for you. Remind me about this, Ernesto, because I'm going to forget it. I was just going to go off, but I'll talk to Keith's question first, which was, what do you do if you want life insurance that is not purely death insurance, which is what I'm trying to say. So Ernesto, even Ernesto, you're here. We've talked about this. People that I knew, I think, were trying to sell you insurance one time. Do not do business with them. No. Them. I didn't do business with them for a reason. But, you know, everybody knows an insurance agent. I want to be clear here. And most insurance agents now go by like special titles, like the wealth man, or, you know, the wealth manager, or whatever, you know, some nondescript entitle. You know, but most of them are insurance agents nonetheless, and they only sell you what they know, which is there are some insurance people who sell term, some who sell universal, and some who sell whole life. Those are three basic types of insurance: term, universal, and whole. There are many variations on the theme. I'm going to tell you the three cash value. I like four types of policies. One, I like term. I like term if you're young or if you're poor and have a family and you have to protect. So Ernesto, you don't have any children that I don't know about, right? So like term insurance kind of a waste for you because no one really depends on your life. Maybe employees, you buy like a term or a buy-sell insurance, something like that. If you're newly married or you have a baby, then you get term insurance equal to 20 times your income. So if you make $100,000 a year, you should have a $2 million term policy. But if you're beyond that, or if you don't need term insurance, what do? I look at cash value insurance as a replacement for cash, not as a replacement for investing. Investing is not insurance. They're two different things. So I don't believe insurance is a good investment per se. I believe it is a good store of cash that's sitting at the bank earning 0 to 1%. Does that make sense? So right now, instead of having $300,000 at the bank, earning 0.1, redivert that into a cash value life insurance, probably because if you haven't invested that in the stock market in the last 10 years, with the epic growth of the stock market, you probably never will, or you'll go into the market now and you'll lose 20 to 40%. You'll go, oh, what happened? I hate my financial advisor. No, you were an idiot. You didn't, you know, when you put your money in the stock market, be prepared for a 40% loss within the first year. Your luck, it's bound to happen. But that's how you make money over time, is by sticking with the market over decades. But if you have a lot in cash, you're probably not that type of person. You probably have a fearful orientation to your money, which is okay. I have it. I'm very scared about my money. Everybody is. It's part of, so you have to create mental hacks that allow you to take risks but have safety. And cash value insurance is one of the best mental hacks for cash that I don't want to invest in the stock market. So there are two types of cash value policies. One is called universal life. The other is whole life. Generally, universal life is a bad investment. avoid, it's not an investment, it's a bad insurance policy because your costs of insurance go up every year. Now, if you properly fund a universal life, which only 1% of all universal life policies, so if you were to do a universal life policy with me, we would properly fund it so it's like a whole. That could be a wise construction of a policy. That's where you overfund the policy so there's a very small amount of insurance cost so that the money grows tax deferred over time, and then you can take money out in year 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If universal life is properly funded, it could be a very good place to store excess cash and get a superior rate of return that's non-correlated to the stock market based upon the claims paying ability of the underlying insurance company. So you want to do all the prerequisite compliance checks on that. And then there's another type called dividend paying whole. There's whole life that Alex Trebek used to sell, which is 10 grand and it buries you. That's kind of stupid. For all intents and purposes, it's not really something I would recommend unless you're uninsurable. You're how old again? 60 what? 4, 63?
I'm in my 60s.
So
I'm in my
63,
60s.
you could do a properly funded universal life, or you could do a properly funded whole life from a mutual company that pays out dividends. And you can even structure your policy so you could get all the premiums you put in after your 5, 7, or 10 years or 20 years, plus interest in some cases. So you either want to look to a properly funded UL or a dividend paying participating whole, which I generally like because I'm more conservative. Now, I also like it for people who are single and have no kids. Here's why. Who is going to take care of you when you have a long-term care illness if you are single and have no children? No one. So you can use the death benefit while you're alive if you need help bathing, dressing, and you don't have to go through the reimbursements of a long-term care policy. So when you have a traditional long-term care policy, you have to get reimbursed, which means they have to audit sort of your expenses. When you have a life insurance policy today, and by the way, I don't think this is going to exist in a year or two. If I was running a life insurance company, I would end this soon. We've had people, we've had things we mentioned on this show, and I think somebody close to the president listens, and then something is done like a week later or 2 weeks later, and I swear somebody's listening. So if somebody's listening from an insurance company, they're probably going to say, well, let's remove the long-term care rider on a life insurance policy, because I don't think they're going to be able to afford that long-term. Why? We're having an aging population. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be in a nursing home and being killed by a mishap of the government where they put everybody in the same facility and then all these people get you could say their heart was in the right place, but you know what? I want to be paying somebody to be changing me, to be dressing me, to be wiping me in my home. I don't want to go to some facility where nobody comes and visits me. And now due to COVID, people can't even sing Christmas carols to you, probably. So, one of the things that we should remember our loved ones in nursing homes. They're lonely. They're sad. Be there for them. But I don't want to be one of those people. So I buy a bunch of life insurance on my life, and I will use the death benefit while I'm alive. That's called the living benefit. And I can get cash out if I need to. Does that make sense, sir? Okay, so we'll go take a short break. We'll be back after these messages. Call us at 888-988-JOSH if you want us to go over stocks that you're looking to purchase, exchange-traded funds, your investing plan, your insurance plan, your annuity planning, whatever question you have. No question is a dumb one. Call us today for our 27-point ultimate financial game plan, and you get the 27-point ultimate financial game plan when you call us right now at 888-988-JOSH and schedule your no obligation review. And you get the free ebook out for 2021. You get the free ebook if you schedule and keep your no obligation review. And you get the ebook, by the way, if you subscribe to my YouTube channel and send me an email, josh@jalinski.com, that you subscribed, to my YouTube channel. So call us 888-988-JOSH, 888-888-988-5674. We'll be back after these messages.
It's always.
Hi, everybody. This is Josh Jalinski here, the financial quarterback, inviting you to pick up my new book. Go over to Barnes & Noble, go over to Amazon and get my book, The Retirement Reality Check. That's Retirement Reality Check. I'm here with tip number 5 on my 11-step plan that I reveal in the book to mitigate higher taxes. Tip number 5, consider a C Corp. How many of you would like your company to buy your long-term care insurance and you get it written off? That's something you can do with a C corporation. C Corps were out of favor. They were big in the 80s, big in the 70s, but they're coming back thanks to the Trump tax code. With a C Corp, you get to pay a lower rate on your business income than if you have an S Corp. If you have an S Corp and you do very well, you could pay up to 37 cents on every dollar to Uncle Sam. With a C Corp, it is much less thanks to the new Trump tax plan. And you get to deduct your long-term care premiums. Do you know you also can 12 days deduct of Christmas started yesterday. The 12 days of Christmas are between now and the gift of the Magi, the Feast of the Nativity. A little biblical history for you. The wise men didn't come till Jesus was like a year and a half, 2 years. So the beauty of the old church calendar is you were celebrating from now to January 6th. We need to bring that back as a society. Although, it's tough with end of the quarter, end of the year work stuff. So folks, I am working round the clock only 3 days this year. Decided to give everybody off for New Year's Eve. I mean, we have to be on at a limited staff because the market's still open. But the 28th, the 29th, and the 30th, we're working long hours, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Why? Because some of you are part of the procrastination nation. Maybe you've had a better year than you've expected. Some of you had a lousy year and look forward to better things ahead for 2021. But if you need tax breaks, we can help you the 28th, 29th, and 30th. Potentially, I'm not guaranteeing that, if we get certain paperwork in by year end. So do you think I want to work the day after Christmas? I mean, I run my company. I love doing this show, but I want to be playing foosball with little Josh. So we got him a foosball table. I was up till 5 a.m. with my darling wife, who was up till 7:30. Putting this foosball table together. Number one, it was cheap. So I'm going to take it back to Walmart. It costs a lot of money for a foosball table. And I'm going to get another one, or I'm going to call the manufacturer. By the way, the manufacturer, I'll tell you a trick. The manufacturers do not want you to return it to retail. So sometimes you can call the manufacturer. They will send you an entirely new foosball table. So that's what I'm going to try today. And then I'll get two, and maybe I'll give our foosball table to a kid who can't afford one. So, because they lose a lot of money with retail. Retail will hit them with chargebacks. So they'd almost rather not deal with retail. Retail is brutal on small businesses. So who do we have next, Bob G?
Joe.
Joe, you're on with Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Remind me, I've talked about two things that I don't think I've talked about. PPP and also my dad and Jeopardy. So we want to talk about those two things. Anything else that I brought up that we haven't talked about yet? By the way, the Secure Act, haven't talked about that either. So we've been so engaged with our listeners. Those are the three things I want to address before the show ends. So remind me, Ernesto. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, my neighbor said he put in extra Social Security money on his own every week for years. Now he's getting $4,000 a month. Is this possible to put in extra money on your own?
No. What your neighbor means is he made a lot of money. So he paid extra, maybe as a small business owner that he didn't have to fund into Social Security. Now he's making $40 grand a year from Social Security. Think about this. $40 grand a year coming from the government. That's a lot of money. But you paid into it. So do not believe. So this is where when people are running for president, Chris Christie and John Huntsman were calling for the means testing of Social Security. That's the stupidest plan I've ever heard of in my entire life. You paid into it your entire life. It was mismanaged for years, and now you're not getting the check? They're already taxing the rich more. They're already taxing your Medicare more, and now they're going to cut your benefit? Resist that, folks. If they want to change Social Security for people under 30 now, that's fine. But I don't know about you, but I've been paying extra Social Security taxes for like 20 years. That's, I think, what your friend means. Does that make sense, Joe?
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot.
And do not, I stand against means testing. I think it's the worst idea in maybe the history of the Republican Party to embrace that. It is stupid because it penalizes. This is how dumb certain politicians are. It will penalize the people who vote Republican. And I got news for you, by the way. The people who are reliant on a $3,000 a month check from Social Security, maybe they did well, but they were working class or formerly poor people that they couldn't save into private accounts because that's not an option. So they paid extra taxes into the system, which benefited people who were retired then. And that's so wrong to do that to seniors. Now, if you want to reform the whole system, that's fine, but I do not stand for means testing. I also think President-elect Biden has this idea, I don't know if you heard about this, Ernesto, that of a 12% tax above income, above 400 grand, if you're a successful small business owner. And the idea there is that the rich get a tax break on Social Security, so now we're going to penalize them. No, when you're rich, or when you make over about 138 grand a year, they don't collect any more Social Security tax because the government will not pay you any more out. It's indexed to inflation. So they've hit their cap. So the government doesn't, it's not a freebie. It's a recognition that they're not going to pay extra into a system that they're not getting. So by taxing that extra 12%, those who are small business owners are going to subsidize those who are in big business, like Jeff Bezos and Zuckerberg, who do not get paid on Social Security wages. Do you know that? They do not get paid on Social Security wages. They get paid by selling their shares of stock. And then smart people like me, I won't get paid a salary anymore. You know what we're going to do? We're just going to become a C Corp, and I'm going to get shares of stock, and I'm going to sell off my shares of stock, and I'm going to be like Bezos. So I'm not going to, so that what's going to end up happening is smart small business people are going to change their whole corporate structure to avoid the Social Security taxation. And who's going to get penalized? The dumb small business owner, the lower educated small business owner, who's probably first generation wealth, who's probably not like even President Trump. You know, there was, Trump billionaire tax breaks. You know what? I never got a job from a poor person. And typically, when a rich person gets a tax break, they buy a boat, they go out to dinner, they go to dry cleaning. I'm talking to hairdressers and dry cleaners, and they are struggling because I'm apparently the only guy who still has some self-respect and likes to wear a suit in the COVID era. You know what? If you're a business person, businesswoman, businessman, and you are doing Zoom calls, dress up a little bit. Don't look like a schlock. And if you're blessed enough to still have a job, go to your dry cleaner and at least get your suits pressed. You can wear shorts, in the Zoom call, but at least wear a tie and a shirt, shave. All these people, no offense, are you shaving, Ernesto? Sorry. No offense. I mean, I was not shaven. I think when we talked on Wednesday, I looked like a bum. So, but I shaved for this show. So who do we have next, Bob G? Okay, we have
Nick.
We have Nick coming up, and then we have a short break. We have a short break before Nick. So, folks, I want you to do one thing today. Go to my YouTube channel. I got one subscriber in the last 15 minutes. Hi, everybody. This is Josh Jalinski here, the financial quarterback, inviting you to pick up my new book. Go over to subscribe. So more people subscribe. This is interesting dynamics of internet. More people subscribe to our YouTube channel on Christmas Eve and Christmas than they did today. You know what that tells me? People are lonely. So if you're lonely, view this show. I get up and do a live show. If you listen to virtually every other financial talking head, they're doing canned stuff on Christmas. Why do I go live on the day after Christmas? Because I know many of you are lonely. And it's a sad time. But you know what? If you're lonely, find somebody to not be lonely with. And I don't mean romantically. I mean somebody you read a book with. There's the gift now. We decry social media. But I reconnected with people from college, and I was joining a reading book, a reading group, and we're reading a book together. So it's a fun, you might say you have 6 kids and a wife, yes, but you know, you need sometimes adult conversation. And although I talk to my kids like they're adults, we talk about a lot of big picture stuff. But you know what? 10 o'clock when they're in bed, 11 o'clock at bed, and I'm, you know, bored because I kind of have a hyperactive mind. I like to read about theology or something interesting or finance. So give us a call, 888-988-JOSH, for the free gift today, which is the 27-point ultimate financial game plan. And if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you get our free ebook. This is a great ebook we put together, Fresh Financial Plays for 2021. Up next, this is the financial quarterback, Josh Jalinski. Don't touch that dial.
Hey.
Hi, everybody. This is Josh Jalinski here, the financial quarterback, inviting you to pick up my new book. Go over to Barnes & Noble, go over to Amazon and get my book, The Retirement Reality Check. That's Retirement Reality Check. I'm here with tip number 5 on my 11-step plan that I reveal in the book to mitigate higher taxes. Tip number 5, consider a C Corp. How many of you would like your company to buy your long-term care insurance and you get it written off? That's something you can do with a C corporation. C Corps were out of favor. They were big in the 80s, big in the 70s, but they're coming back thanks to the Trump tax code. With a C Corp, you get to pay a lower rate on your business income than if you have an S Corp. If you have an S Corp and you do very well, you could pay up to 37 cents on every dollar to Uncle Sam. With a C Corp, it is much less thanks to the new Trump tax plan. And you get to deduct your long-term care premiums. You also can deduct certain fringe benefit programs and executive compensation plans. So swipe up, get my new book, The Retirement Reality Check, today on Amazon or wherever books are sold. We're going to talk about PPP round 3, but first we got Nick. And folks, Mark subscribed to our YouTube channel. Mark really enjoyed your show and became a client this year. Thank you. Become a client. If you're a friend, too many times I've had people I've known in a past life say, you're too successful for us. No, that's not true. I love helping my friends being given the gift of financial education. So call us at 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH. Also, if you know good people who are looking for a job, we're always hiring. And thank you. We're always looking. So you can send resumes to josh@jalinski.com. If you call, you will be disqualified from hire. You got to send an email because I got to see the resume to see who who I'm talking about. And you don't have to have a great resume. Just, send me, a page on why I should hire you or something like that. So who do we have next?
Nick.
Go ahead. You're on with Josh Jalinski. And PPP round 3, my hairdresser didn't get PPP. Ernesto, you didn't get PPP. How long have I known you, Ernesto? Most of our lives. And you didn't call me. Now, I got news for you. I was not a PPP expert I didn't wake up and said, I'm a PPP. Most people who are small business owners, they went to their banker or they went to their accountant. And I did that, and I got crickets. I want to commend my accountant, Tony McWilliams, who is a darling of a human. He sings at the Catholic Mass at 6 p.m. and 12 midnight. Beautiful voice. I mean, he should be like an opera singer. He's like Andrea Bocelli, or not really Andrea Bocelli. He's more like Pavarotti type of voice. But, I mean, really, this guy has the most amazing voice. You wouldn't believe it. And he helped and was in the trenches. But most accountants said, I looked into that, and not the ones who listen to this show. But most accountants were like, well, I listened, and you're not eligible, or it's only for the rich. Wrong. It was probably the best conceived stimulus plan that was ever, and I'm critical of stuff I've seen on both sides. It was the single greatest conceived effort to stimulate small business that was, sure, there were abuses, like Kanye West got it, and, Shake Shack or whatever, but but you had to keep people on payroll. So they didn't lay anyone off. So they didn't go on the unemployment. So they remained productive. So they learned how to do business in a COVID environment. I don't think it was bad that they gave it to the businesses that maybe didn't really need it. Because those businesses, rather than shutting everything down and causing a mass depression, they innovated. You went to Shake Shack, they did not skip a beat. So, Nick, go ahead. You're on with Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback, but I'm going to give my PPP tip as the cliffhanger to the show in the final segment. Go ahead, Nick.
All right, listen, Josh, last week you had a woman who was suggesting about putting a bank account for home improvements, and it occurred to me that wouldn't it be better to take the cash, buy a whole life policy, and then loan yourself the money?
That may be a good idea. Yeah, maybe. I'd have to know the fact set. But yeah, sometimes people who need a store of cash can't get cash from the bank, and they could buy it from their life insurance.
Well, I'm saying, like, if you had the cash, instead of putting it in to a bank account and then just writing checks, wouldn't it be more lucrative to buy a whole life policy, pay it up, and then loan yourself the money? Then you still have the principal, and you're still getting interest.
And by the way, the interest can be a write-off if you use it for business purposes. So it could be dynamic. The thing is, though, some people do that, and they call it infinite banking. I've seen it abused, though, so I'm not a proponent of infinite banking per se. I think I've seen that misapplied and misinterpreted. So if you've had somebody talk to you about infinite banking, you don't necessarily want to do that, but you can loan from a cash value policy for business opportunity. And you can use it as a write-off if you use the interest that you pay can be a write-off for business purposes. But for sure, I firmly believe that one of the best business opportunity is ready money is Aladdin's lamp. I want to have a pep talk for my employees this year. It never happened, but we took PPP and we didn't lay off people. If I didn't get PPP, I would have laid off a bunch of people. They'd be all in the unemployment lines. And you know what happens? When you go on unemployment, something changes to your character. You become dehumanized a little bit. And, when you're an employee, you become proud. Your boss needs you. You're a cog in the wheel of business. And every one of my employees matters. And we couldn't do it today if it wasn't for David waking up early on a Saturday, Sunday, or Ernesto, or any of these people. Jim, Rich, Carl, Bob, Ira, Cal. So you become prideful. Bob takes great care. Every weekend he puts great tracks down from oldies. You think a robot would do that? Do you think Amazon would do that? No. So there's a human love in work, that we need work. So I'm going to take a short break. I'll be back with final thoughts. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial. Josh. Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback, and author of the new book that can be found on Amazon or Barnes & Noble called The Retirement Reality Check. In the book, The Retirement Reality Check, I give you 11 ways to potentially lower your taxes. Tip number 10, that's right, number 10, we're almost done with all the 11 tips in the book. Tip number 10, and it's a powerful one, it's to manage your RMD. You may not even know what an RMD is. It's called a required minimum distribution. So when you do a 401k or IRA, you get to grow that money tax deferred or tax free from, let's say you start out at 25 all the way to 70. But guess what? When you turn 70 and a half, you have to take money out of your IRA and pay taxes at your ordinary income.
No one else you can do a
Now, when
wrap-up.
you're older, you may not have a mortgage interest deduction. You hopefully don't have a child deduction any longer. So you have very little deductions when you're 70 and a half. So a lot of my retired clients, they don't like getting their RMD because they have to pay all this tax on this. So one of the tips is
Eastern Union Bank and other people. So it's crazy, the anti-Semitism that I've seen as a result of COVID and shutdowns and people blaming the hardworking Jewish population in our society. You know what? They were the banks that gave money to the small business community. People who were of strong faith and conviction, Judeo-Christian, most like me. I get up every Sunday. We had JJ the CPA talking PPP and helping our listeners. Eastern Union Bank, I just got an email from them. They're one of the good banks, so they're going to get free press right here. They are preparing people for round 3 so they do not get shut out. Did I get that email from my bank? No. So that's the other thing. We have to bank with banks that care about us. We have to financial advise. I'm telling you right now, if you're dealing with financial advice with a big bank, do you like their politics or do you like mine? You know, there's, you have to vote with your values in who you do business with today, because you know what? It's going to get tougher if we don't band together and say, hey, we're a society, we have to be helpful to each other. So Eastern Union Bank is offering PPP round 3. JJ the CPA, my YouTube friend, is doing PPP seminars, and I'm going to do a PPP round 3 seminar for you if you call us at 888-988-JOSH. So if you were a small business owner and you did not get money in round 3, we will tell you the banks that were successful the first round. You don't want to go with your old bank. I'm telling you, my bank was like crickets on both first round and second round. So what I did is I put an application, the second round, first round I did not get PPP. Second round I put an application with my bank and with some other banks. And the other small bank got it done. So the beautiful thing about some of these organizations backed by people of strong faith, they were there for the American people at one of the most trying times in our lifetime. And so I salute you, Eastern Union Bank and other banks, which generally run by people of faith. Strong convictions, Judeo-Christian and Muslim. I mean, Cal is Muslim. He's an amazing man. He is always there for you. So my folks, I got an email December 24th. We are happy to inform you that pre-registration for PPP round 2 is now live through our banking partner.